I'm going to play Clue Master Detective on DOS. And if you don't know Clue Master Detective, it's an edition of Clue that was around from like 1988 to 1992 or something like that. I don't really know. There are a few. Yeah, this was Clue Master Detective. As you can tell, there's more suspects, there's more weapons, and there's no more room. It randomly chooses who gets to play first, and there's some other rule changes. Well, the basic goal is the same: just solve the murder, figure out who's the killer, using which weapon, which room. Sergeant Gray thinks Professor Plum's the killer. He does sound like a killer, honestly, because he's a professor and he gotta be smart to execute a murder correctly. And it looks like three people were able to show some evidence that that's not the right answer. It's three people that's shown evidence. One card per player has been shown, which means we know it can't be Plum, the horseshoe, or the courtyard. Now you gotta read a lot, apparent, and that's kind of dumb. But hey, I don't make the rules. And you want to know what's really weird? You can't view your cards unless it's your turn. So the cards I have, only suspects. I got Sergeant Gray and Monsieur Brunette. Those are two new characters, and there's also Madame Rose and Miss Peach. And there's all these new rooms here. Look at all these rooms. I can't go that way because, you know, that thing. Can't do that. Uh, 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 no, 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 no. Yeah. And Professor Plum thinks that Scarlet did it. She's a pretty one. She can just lure you in. So I would imagine that maybe she was the murderer. And it's only Miss Scarlet that passes a card. Oh. So, judging from the previous suggestion, Miss Scarlet does in fact have the courtyard card. But that doesn't mean she couldn't have passed either the revolver or the Miss Scarlet card. She could still prove her own innocence. It looks like Mr. Green heads to the billiard room. And while we're on the topic of Clue, I'm about to have a sleepover with my older brother who has never seen the Clue movie. And he and his wife, they decided to have me over for a sleepover so we can watch the movie together. And I have seen the movie, and I've done a review on it earlier on my channel. And I might be sure to tell you how I liked it when I do get a chance again, but I don't know. I probably might not mention it again, or I might forget, but I'll try to stay reminded. And what do I think of the Clue movie? I love it. Tim Curry just steals the show. Hopefully, you've been keeping track of my notes while I was talking because I ain't going back on them. Besides, I can't remember most of them to begin with. I think Professor Plum might have the revolver based on those suggestions. I don't know. He might have the gun. Sergeant Gray said, "Oh, yeah, that's another thing. These comment things that are exclusive to the computer versions of Clue Master Detective." And it looks like Madame Rose, yeah, Madame Rose, thinks that I did it. And if you weren't paying attention this whole time, I was playing Colonel Mustard. And for some reason, Madame Rose thinks I was the perpetrator. And of course, apparently, and judging from previous suggestions, I think Sergeant Gray has the billiard room. And Plum could have the revolver, or he could have Colonel Mustard, or both. So maybe he could prove my own innocence. And yeah, he'll probably make me feel better when I ask him about myself. Miss Scarlet has the courtyard, and Plum is still he's such a pain. He is such a pain. I still think Plum might have other cards than the revolver. And you know what? Because of all this complicated talk, I am definitely putting this under not for kids. Because, you know, this is not for kids. This Master Detective stuff, this is not for kids. There's going to be difficult talk, deductions, other stuff. It's going to be really complicated for kids. They're not going to get it, so I'm putting this under not for kids. And you know what? I think this whole for kids stuff that YouTube's going with COPPA, I think it's total bullcrap. I'm sure that most of you agree. Come on, don't you deny it. You hate this too. You hate this whole COPPA stuff too. And of course, I have one of the cards. Miss Peach, Scarlet. And I am in the billiard room. I've been taken here, and I do not want to make a suggestion in the billiard room. I want to make one. Alright, let's see here. Check out this neatness. I can move through rooms to get to other rooms. Look at that. I just gotta click the dice again in order to get to the gazebo. And now I just gotta make my suggestion in the gazebo. Let's try it on someone nobody's been asked on. I'll say Madame Rose. Madame Rose. I have trouble being consistent with the pronunciations. And I'll say rope. So, Monsieur Brunette. Brunette says it was not Rose. Rose says, nope, it's not the gazebo. And White says it wasn't the rope. Get used to this clicking and typing and stuff because I am using a notepad on the right side of my screen. It's not visible on your screen, it's just on my screen because of this recorder thing. And I would use the notes in the game, but look at this. this is all you get. It automatically takes your notes if you have the option on. I think that's what it's for, and I know the auto reply is also for automatically showing clues to people. But this is all you get. You don't get to mark down who doesn't have what as you gain information. And I like going all complex detective when I play Clue, so I'm sticking with the notes on my Google spreadsheet. So Plum suggesting himself in a drawing room with the knife. What a nerd. Mr. Green said, Okay, Brunette says, Colonel Mustard. Me? What did I do to that dude? At the fountain with the candlestick. Gray and Scarlet have cards. So, crap, dude. Does that mean I killed a dude? I think it does. No. I could still be innocent. It's just that Sergeant Gray has no idea whether to pick Mustard or... I'll bet that he probably has Candlestick. I'll mark that with a Y until I know. Miss Peach suggests Mrs. Peacock studio with the rope. It's the first time anyone ever said anything about the studio. And it looks like Brunette passed a card, White passed a card, and Peacock passed a card. So it's not the studio. Oh, this time with a rope? Brunette has a card, White has a card. And we already know that Peacock has the studio because of my deduction notes. I told you it was complicated. I'm not gonna explain it all because that's gonna take me an eternity. And Rose has okay. Mrs. White said, "Aha!" And I have that voice because I imagine Mrs. White. You know, she's the maid, and you'd always see her as such, basically. Or you know, she's the housekeeper or the cook or housekeeper and cook, as depicted in the Clue musical. So we're gonna get right back to this. Is reaching this time limit.